looking at gratitude. Now, I've heard the word gratitude a lot, and we do hear it a lot. And any self-development book you get nowadays always has a section on gratitude, and it's always the first sort of chapter I found. I did a little bit of a survey, and I had a look at some books, and it very much is one of those chapters that every self-development book seems to have. But what I found is in these books or in these audios or whatever, they don't sort of give some really simple, easy tips to, to feel great, to have a feeling of gratitude. So I thought, you know what, I'll do one of my normal 5 ways to develop a attitude of gratitude. But first, why is gratitude important? Well, gratitude is a feeling, isn't it? It's a feeling. That's what it is. It's a feeling. You can show gratitude, as in be thankful to someone for something or whatever they've done, but you have to feel it deep down. And it's funny, isn't it? I'm doing it to my heart area, just naturally. Gratitude just comes naturally there. And, it's a feeling, so it's about creating that feeling. So my 5 tips today is about creating and nurturing that feeling. Because when we feel in that state, we feel a little bit more self-confident. We have a bit more self-esteem. We feel joy. And feeling joy is such a powerful, powerful feeling. And sometimes we don't recognize it. We don't recognize that how much joy helps us within our body. We also, on the other side of it, and we're not talking about the other side of it, but we also don't realize how negativity affects us both internally, externally. That worry, doubt, anxiety, sometimes those lower level feelings that we feel, that they don't do us any good. So we need to feel better. So we feel to need having that attitude of gratitude. So how can we do that? Well, you hear all the time about a gratitude journal. And I think what happens with gratitude journals is that people think it's like they have to write paragraphs. A gratitude log, maybe call it, or a gratitude list, maybe have it. So, you have your to-do list, maybe, or you have your shopping list. Why don't you have a gratitude list where you literally put one word? And I've done this because I knew I was going to be talking. I started it yesterday, and my gratitude list is just one word, because that one word will remind me of what I'm grateful for. So I'll tell you later on what's my 2 things so far, because I've only done 2 days of it, what they are and why. But I'm not going to tell you that yet. I want you to carry on watching me. So, you know what, I am going to recognise for tip number 1, writing it down somewhere and keeping a list. But it doesn't have to be a big journal. If it is a big journal, that's fantastic, amazing. You can write write what you want to do on your computer, do it in your notes app. But just somewhere that you physically get it out of your head, into your fingers, and write it down. What about then tip number 2? Tip number 2 is about a timed gratitude moment, or gratitude times with G&T maybe. And you could set a time in your day that you think about gratitude, and it only takes a minute. Maybe you need a moment of gratitude, a minute of gratitude. So in your routine, when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, we all know that's a habit, don't you? Some of you may or may not brush your teeth in the morning. I certainly do. So as I'm good old brushing my teeth, I could have a gratitude moment, couldn't I? I could have a gratitude moment as I get into the shower. Just spend, 10 seconds more in the shower, and at that end of the shower, be grateful and think about something that I'm grateful for. It could be anything. It could be at any time. It could be in the morning. It could be in the evening. It could be both. Why don't you set a little timer on your mobile phone, just to pop up and say, what are you grateful for? And just do it on a repeat. It doesn't have to bleep. It doesn't have to make noise. It could just pop up on the screen. And you could simply ask the question to say, what am I thankful for at this moment in time? And you literally write that question into your timer, and it'll force you to think about what you're grateful for. So that's number 2, using a gratitude timer. Number 3 for me is using a gratitude trigger. So this is another G&T strategy. Maybe there's a theme here, I don't know. But gratitude trigger. So I thought about this yesterday. What can trigger me to have a moment of gratitude. Now, that might not be a daily thing, but it's just something that happens in your day naturally that you can trigger. And I thought, what about this one? Every time I'm given or handle a £2 coin, so in the UK we have £1 coins, we have £2 coins, which are bigger, and you don't see the £2 coins a lot, you don't naturally have them. But I thought to myself, do you know what? Every time I see or have or pass on a £2 coin, I'm going to have a moment of gratitude. So literally, I'm going to hold the coin, and I'm going to stop wherever I am, and then have a moment of gratitude. What other triggers could you have? Maybe you have a door of gratitude. So every time you go through a particular door, maybe it's your kitchen door, it could be your downstairs loo door, it could be your garage door, it could be your car door on the left-hand side in the passenger area in the back seat, it could be your trunk or your boot, it could be your bonnet, whatever, a doorway to gratitude. And every time you open that door, you give yourself a moment of gratitude. Get that feeling going. Enjoy that feeling of gratitude. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 3 is sort of have gratitude triggers. It might be every time you take a glass of water and you get to the bottom. See, if you did it every time just taking a sip of water, or every time you had a pound coin or a penny, it would become overused. We don't brush our teeth every 5 minutes, do we? So, maybe when you get to the bottom of your glass of water, that's when you have a moment of gratitude. And that's a gratitude trigger. I hope you're enjoying this, folks. Make sure if you are enjoying it and you're either watching me live or you're watching it another time, pop a chat below and maybe share your tips on to foster an attitude of gratitude. Number 4. Number 4 for me is about others. And it's about acknowledging people and thanking them for maybe inspiring, helping, or supporting you. Now, maybe today, after watching this video, you just send off a quick little message just to say, hey, just want to say thanks for doing this. Now, sometimes I think people say, oh, write an email to somebody, you're not seen for a long time and you've not done this. And for me, personally, that feels a bit weird, really, because it's like, the moment's passed. So maybe just think about in the last day or so, somebody who just did something for you. And just pop a quick message and say, do you know what, I really appreciate what you did yesterday. Just wanted to say thanks. And that's, appreciating them. Or why don't you look out for times when somebody inspires you, someone helps you and supports you, and just make a note of what you're going to do to show your appreciation. Maybe a day after, it could be a card through the post, it could be an email, it could be a funny little GIF. It doesn't really matter. Just express and pass on that feeling of gratitude for them. So that's number 4. And then for me, the last thing is about yourself. And that thing about what are you grateful for, about what you accomplished. Because accomplishment, that feeling I've done something, a good job done, or I've got that over the line, or I've been working on this and I'm getting to a point with it, and you're feeling good about it. So just here's a quick question for number 5, the gratitude sort of accomplishments. What have you achieved in this morning, for example? What have you achieved yesterday, or the last week, or maybe in the last month? Make it in the moment, and perhaps, again, going back to tip number 1, is write that down. Now, somebody once told me about a gratitude jar, and I forgot to mention it earlier. So they have a jar, like a bowl or a jar, and they have little slips of paper already cut out. They're only little slips of paper, and a pen or a pencil next to the jar, and they write what they are grateful for that day and pop it in the jar. And the jar fills up and fills up and fills up and fills up. So if you're you're having some challenges with remembering what you're grateful for, you can always go back to your jar, take out your little thing, and you can remember. So there's the 5 tips for fostering an attitude of gratitude. Number 1 was using some type of journal or a list, which is a great idea. Timed gratitude is number 2. Do it in the morning, in the afternoon, or a time in your day. What about your gratitude trigger? Something like my £2 coin that's going to make me feel grateful. So it could be, I've just looked behind me. Here we go. Got my 2 little it's there, isn't it? That side there. A picture of a little clock to remind me about being in the moment, and then there's a little one there, which is a glass half full, half empty, just to remind me of that sort of attitude. So they're little. So maybe every time I see that clock and think about it, I have a attitude trigger. Number 4 was acknowledging other people in the moment or just a little bit afterwards. And then number 5 was recognizing your own accomplishments. Maybe that's what you could do with your little jar. Write what you achieved today, little sentence, in the jar, and then that can remind you. So take ownership of that. Take ownership of, by being present, by giving thanks in the moment and showing gratitude for what you have in your life right now. And that gives you that feeling that I talked about at the start, doesn't it? That warm, fuzzy, enjoy feeling in your heart, and wherever you feel it, it's up to you, but I certainly feel it here. And that's sort of like a physical thing for me, that physical feeling of gratitude.